Hello. Before the video starts, would you be interested in hearing the word of our Lord and Savior Cthulhu? Okay, what I'd really like to say is that Twitch user PineTree31415 made a suggestion to add sea rabbits to Minecraft, and I think it'd be really cool if we, as a community, could come together and make something great happen. So, I'd really appreciate it if you took a moment of your time to click the first link in the description and vote to have sea rabbits added to Minecraft. With enough support, I think this could actually happen, which would be really cool. Now, back to your regularly scheduled program. I have had one real job in my life. And by real job, I mean not YouTube. Like, at an establishment that offers goods and or services to the public, under an official title. Like Wendy's. I didn't work at Wendy's. When I was in high school, I worked at a YMCA, which, as we all know, stands for Y'all Messy Cheese Alpacas, Get Off My Lawn. At the YMCA, my job was a youth sports associate helper person thing. I'm honestly not sure what my actual title was, but basically, I helped with sports things that usually, but not always, involved little kids. The only reason I got the job was because I was hired by a family friend that worked there. My brother and I spent a lot of our free time at the YMCA, just goofing around, but she must have thought, wow, this boy must know a lot about our establishment and its activities because he spends so much time here. But I really wasn't very qualified for the job at all. I've applied for other jobs in my life. I've just never actually been accepted to them, like the grocery store, and I never got a response. What do you have to do wrong to not even get a response back from a grocery store? And during my first year in college, I applied to a JCPenney. I still don't know why I did that. The job interview was done in this group discussion format where multiple applicants were sat down at the same time to have a discussion, and that pretty much killed my chances. I knew I wasn't gonna get the job as soon as I walked in because there were two middle-aged women sitting at the table who wanted the same position as me. I mean, who would be better suited for a position in clothing retail? An experienced 45-year-old woman with a fashion sense? Or an 18-year-old college kid who defaults to wearing things with hoods every day and no retail experience whatsoever? Yeah, we were definitely equally qualified, and I just didn't get the job because of, workplace discrimination. Anyways, back to the job that I actually did get. I did a large variety of things at that job, which included running the scoreboard for youth basketball games, running the scoreboard for high school women's lacrosse games, where I would also have to clean the lacrosse balls in the middle of the game. I still don't know why that was necessary. Can someone who knows anything about lacrosse explain that? Let's see. I also occasionally had to run these small child activity sessions. I don't know what they were officially called. Do I sound like I was qualified for this job yet? Because I wasn't. Basically, parents would take their children to this session, and I would make the children do activities with cones and balls and stuff, while the parents watched from the side. That was the part that I never understood. The more I think about it, the less I understand why this was even a thing. So, okay. Imagine that you, as a parent, are paying for your child to play while you watch. It's not like they were dropping off their kids so that I could deal with them while they go and get something done. I guess it's that you're not saving any time for yourself by doing this, so why are you basically paying someone else to play with your child? Did they not know how to play with their children, and therefore felt the need to pay someone else to play with their child for them? Maybe they would sit on the side and watch so that they could take notes on how to play with their child. Honestly, I never understood it. but I have also never been a parent to a human child, so maybe there's just something I can't comprehend yet, having never been a parent. The only thing I have to take care of is my betta fish. His name is Blueberry, and he's a very good boy, yes he is. But that's not even the point of this story. The point is that I am absolutely awful at remembering people's names. You may have noticed in some of my previous videos that whenever there are other characters in the story, I give them a nonsense name that starts with a J. I do this for a number of reasons. 1, it's kind of funny. 2, I keep those people in my story anonymous so that I don't have to ask them for their consent to talk about them in a story. And 3, because half the time I can't even remember their name. Especially in my group projects video. Like, you really think I actually remembered the names of 4 people that I did something with 2 years ago? Nah, I couldn't even remember their names 2 years ago during the group project. So, back again to the job thing. I was running one of said small child activity sessions, and there were 3 kids. I could remember 2 out of the 3 kids' names. The 3rd child's name I knew started with a B, but that was it. There came a point during the activity where I unfortunately had to say her name. So, I reached into the greatest depths of my memory, trying to think back to when these children were introduced to me. My 2 brain cells were working in overdrive, just bouncing signals back and forth in some wild frenzy, desperately trying to remember what her name was. And then it came to me. I was like, oh yeah, her name was Brooklyn. Thank goodness, I remembered. I was in the clear. The small child activity session finished, and when her mother called her over to leave, I learned that her name was actually Bridget. So, this whole time I was calling her the wrong name in front of her mother. I never ran a small child activity session ever again. But that's okay, because there were a lot of other things that I did as part of my job, such as setting up chairs to watch sporting events, cleaning up sports equipment, and managing the rock climbing wall, which was my personal favorite thing to do. The YMCA had a kind of small rock climbing wall, and I was ballet certified. Ballet certified? I feel like it's not spelled like ballet certified, but I don't actually know how to spell it. It's the thing where you have been trained to be the person that holds up the other person while they rock climb. Oh, okay, so it's you belay them. Okay. So that's how you spell it. But this was my favorite thing to do because all you had to do was sit around until someone needed to be belayed. Most people would just boulder, which means you climb without a rope, but you could only go halfway up the wall. Or they would use these auto belayers, where you'd just hook yourself in, and if you fell, it would slowly lower you to the ground. Everyone's first time using an auto belayer is actually pretty scary, because you get to the top, and you can't actually feel any resistance from the rope pulling on you, because it doesn't activate until you kind of jerk on it from falling. It's kind of like a seatbelt. So, you're at the top, and it feels like you're the only thing supporting your own weight, and if you let go, you'll just... It literally feels like you're just going to fall if you let go. When kids would get to the top, they would either get scared and just climb back down, or they would let go and let the auto belayer lower them to the ground like they were supposed to do. If it was your first time, you'd have to work up the courage to trust the small machine that looks a bit like those bubblegum tape dispensers with your life, and you just kinda slowly descend back to the ground. A lot of my time was spent just convincing children that they can let go and will live. But usually there wasn't actually anybody there, which was the best part, because I could do as much rock climbing as I wanted. Sometimes I would just climb up to this ledge near the top, and I would just sit there, knowing full well that people were less likely to come in because they couldn't see anybody in the room. Other times, I would just sit in my chair, face it away from the door, and sleep. It was pretty chill. The last notable thing that was part of my job was I had to teach these kids how to play t-ball. Now, I've never played any form of baseball in my life, but of course I wasn't about to tell my boss that. It was fine because these were toddlers. It's not like I had to teach them actual form. What I did have to teach them were things like, you don't swing the bat before there is a ball on the tee, and you hold it from the handle, not the other way around. Also, which way first base was. Luckily, it was stuff that even someone with practically zero personal experience in the sport could explain. But I did one of the top 10 coolest things I've ever done in my life while helping kids with t-ball. During the t-ball games, they had the staff stand in the outfield on the off chance that one of the kids actually hit it that far, and it would go in the bushes or something. It also takes a surprising amount of time for a toddler to waddle out 30 yards, pick up a ball, then waddle back to home base with it because they don't want to try and throw it. So we'd stand out there and basically stop any stray balls from going too far away. But there was this one time where a kid actually hit a fly ball. It got some serious air and it was going right towards me. To fully understand what happens next, you have to know that I was a soccer player in high school. Soccer was kind of my life. And at the same time, I'd pretty much never played a sport that involved my arms. So while my legs were these large, beefy, highly coordinated appendages, my arms were more like partially cooked spaghetti. They were cooked enough in some places to bend a little bit, but otherwise they were stiff and useless. So when I saw this baseball flying towards me, my initial reaction was to put out my foot and just settle it to the ground. And that's exactly what I did. It just kind of landed on my foot from the air. And then I lightly rolled it forward for the child to pick up. It was just so nonchalant. I didn't bat an eye. So that's one of the top 10 coolest things I've ever done in my life, probably at number 6, right below that time my friends and I tried to get food at a drive-thru while pretending to drive an invisible car, but that's another story. Welcome to the end of the video, where I tell you about this cool new merch you can get to show your support for the endangered sea rabbit. I would have put pictures of myself wearing it, but I didn't order it soon enough, so here are some pictures where I've badly photoshopped myself wearing the shirts. Doesn't that make you want to buy them? Anyways, I figured I should make this video before I graduate nursing school and get another real job, because then the title wouldn't really apply anymore, and it would have just been another job, as opposed to the only real job that I've had. Which it doesn't sound that interesting. Anyways, thanks, and goodbye.